1370 WOCA.
WOCA.
All right, 5 minutes after 10 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in this beautiful Wednesday morning. We are 2 days away from Good Friday, right, Robin? Am I right about that?
Yep.
2 days away from Good Friday. And Good Friday, for those who are Christian, know what that means. You know what Good Friday means. And Robin, you go to Sunday school, and every week you tell me what you learned in Sunday school, and we're both closing in on 60 years old, and I always say, how come I don't remember learning that? How can there be one book in this world that continues to teach me when other books, okay, I learned that book, next book, right? But the Bible seems to have lessons in it for some reason that keep teaching. And maybe I'm just forgetful. I don't know. Easter is coming up, and we learn a lot every time there is a holiday because it reminds us of these things. We tend to forget these lessons. I'm not really sure why. Or maybe the significance, or maybe our personal lives resonate something new, that's in the Bible. Maybe that's what it's all about. I don't know. It's probably a God question, I guess. One day I'll ask him if he lets me get close. Excuse me, sir. Why'd you make mosquitoes? Did you need to make mosquitoes? In the studio is Pastor Darrell Allen. He is the pastor of Druid Hills United Methodist Church. Terry Silva Finch, did I say your name right, Terry?
She did.
Is here, and Linda Hughes is here for moral support, she said.
That's right.
Not morale support, moral. So just make sure everybody's immoral. And Druid Hills United Methodist Church has become a friend of ours because we know a few people who have attended that church, and we've participated in some of the events over there. And they have a couple of signature events. One of them is their block party.
Yeah.
One of them is their pumpkin patch, and then there's the living nativity, and then there is the Easter tableau, which is what we're going to talk about today. And so let's talk about that. It starts tomorrow. It's tomorrow and Friday, right? The Easter tableau?
Yes, it is.
Yeah. Well, good morning to all of you. Thank you for coming in today.
Thank you for having us.
Sitting in our high chairs, our new granite table.
It's nice.
So tell me, let's start with this. The Easter story. How many of us don't really know, Christians that you meet, Pastor, I'll ask you this. Oh, I know the Easter story. I know Jesus died for our sins. Okay, let's move on. Let's have some chocolate, right? Yeah. What is that pretty much the way most people are with it?
I think so. Over the years, it's kind of, people leave out the details. And what we've tried to do over the last several years as a faith tradition is to take our people back and remind them of the story of what took place on Sunday, what took place on Monday, what took place on Thursday, what took place on Friday, and really get them to understand the places he went, the events that he had to endure, the suffering, the tribulation, and how all of that leads up to the wonderful celebration that everybody enjoys on Easter Sunday morning.
And referring to the day he was hung on the cross as good, what's the reason for that? Why do we call that Good Friday?
To remind us, that's the beginning of the redemption. That is, on Good Friday, he dies, and that begins our redemption process of us being made right before our Father. And so it's that understanding that when Easter Sunday comes and he is resurrected and he has taken on that price of our sins, that it's all forgiven at that point for anybody that will simply say yes.
When we come to the tableau itself, what do we see? What do we experience? How long does it take? You want to address some of the questions we get most often, I guess, and then we get more theological. I don't know. Almost
theological.
Theological. Okay.
Well, on Thursday and Friday of each year when we have the Easter tableau, we put it on for an hour and a half. People can walk through our property and see the scenes, or they can drive through in their cars. They'll come in, if they come in their car, they start at the Last Supper, which is where Jesus is having that last meal with his 12 disciples. Then we go on to the next scene, which is the Garden of Gethsemane, which is where Jesus is praying, and it's just him in the garden. Then we move on to the next scene, which is the road to Calvary, where Jesus is carrying his cross. Then they have to get Simon from Cyrene to come in and help Jesus carry that cross, which is being taken up to Golgotha. Then we go into the scene of the crucifixion, which is where you see the three crosses. You have Jesus in the center cross, and we have the two thieves on the crosses on both sides of him.
Right.
We have his mother Mary that is there. Mary Magdalene is also there. Salome is there. The crowd is there. We have guards there. We have a high priest that is there, witnessing the crucifixion. Then we move to the next scene, which is the closed tomb after Jesus has been taken off the cross, put in the tomb, and there's guards that are standing by to make sure that nobody comes in and takes the body. Then we move to the last scene, which is the open tomb, the Sunday of resurrection. The tomb is open, the stone has been moved away, Christ has risen and Christ is gone. We still have women that have come to the open tomb to see that Jesus is not there. And then we exit, and we also have communion that is served right there on Thursday and Friday night, which is Pastor Darrell is there with two other ladies or helpers. And if people want to drive by, stop, he'll serve them communion as they leave, or they can park and get out and come take communion.
So you have all the people you just named are all different. There's a different Jesus in each scene, for example? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so oh, wow. So
Lots of people.
I didn't even realize that you did all that.
Real people, it's no...
But they don't,
mannequins.
we don't talk to them. They're acting, and it's like watching a play. You don't want to talk to them, right?
Well, and it's the only scene that you probably see some movement.
Oh, it's still, okay.
Is the Last Supper. You'll see the disciples and Jesus interacting a little bit, passing food back and forth. But in the garden where Jesus is praying, he's still in the road to Calvary. There's a little bit of movement, but it's not, there's no words. Nobody's speaking. And for the most part, it's kind of a still living picture.
You know what I think about now and then, this is just me thinking about this story, is that when we have in the news, religious figures who have committed crimes, and then people who aren't religious will use that as a way to say, see, we don't really need religious people. I will always say that's the beauty of the story of Jesus, is that all of the people who were, do we call them apostles or disciples? I never understood this.
Either or.
Either or. See, this why do we have more than one word for anything? All right. So if I were... I could not have been, I could swear to you on a Bible, I would not have been Judas. No way I would sell out a person for money. But I could have been Peter. I could have been the guy who says, I'm afraid that you're going to hurt me, so I don't know that guy. I could have done, to be honest with myself. Or maybe I could have been Thomas. I really could have been Thomas, who said, oh, come on, he's not back. Put your hand in him. Oh, come on. That's not him or something. I really would have been it would have been doubting Larry if I had been alive. But
Yeah.
But I could imagine myself, and I don't remember all the other shortcomings that the others had. But the only one I think I wouldn't have gone to the depths of was Judas.
And that's the beauty of these stories is that they are timeless and they are timely. We can look at the apostles or the disciples and we can see ourselves in each of them. We can see seasons of our life where we can identify with Thomas or we can identify with Judas or with Peter, and to know that God loved creation and humanity so much that he came and said, you know what, you guys, you're not understanding what I want you to do with life. You're not, the laws failed, the prophets failed, all of that. So I will come and I will simply show you what it means to love. I will show you that if you follow my kingdom rule, how wonderful and great life can be.
Yeah.
It won't always be easy, but it will be great because you will be connected. And so Christ came and he didn't pick kings. He didn't pick those people that were high in society. He picked the everyday person. And he said, you know what, come and live life with me. And let me show you what my love looks like. Let me show you what my grace is. Experience my grace for yourself. Because then what I'm going to ask you to do is after you have seen it and you have lived it, I'm going to ask you to go give it. To go give that love to somebody else. Go impart that grace to another person that feels like maybe they are not worthy or they are less than compared to other people, and let them know that they absolutely are not.
That is really the best message, isn't it, right there?
It is.
So how long has Druid Hills been doing this, the Easter Tableau?
This is the 46th
46! Wow.
Wow.
More years than I've been alive.
Wow. Me too. No, I'm teasing.
Not me.
So, in all the years that this has gone on, I don't know who would answer this one. Are there stories of people who were absolutely either not aware of the story, or were aware of it but changed their mind about it because of the tableau?
There are. The nice thing about having the communion at the end of the tableau is I've been privy to have conversations with people that have gone through, have either walked or driven through, and when you come to take the communion, it's off to the side, it's the end of the tableau, and it's a setting where there's not a lot of light, so you can kind of feel free to share what you're going through. And people have come through, and as you said, it's one thing to read the story. You start in the beginning of the Gospels, you go through and you read it to the end, and you can go through it and have it be a lot of black and white words on a paper and just have the story stay in the Bible. But to go through and see living, breathing people acting out these scenes to where you can almost see yourself in the scene, or you can identify with the scene. They'll come to the end and say, I had no idea that, fill in the blank. I am so moved that I was able to see it, or this gives me a new understanding of the story and the things that he went through, as you see Jesus trying to carry the cross, as you see Jesus up on the cross, as you see the people celebrating that he is no longer there, that he has risen, just having the opportunity to experience all of those emotions as you drive through or walk through and see these in front of you. They're no longer on a piece of paper. They're not on a piece of art hanging on the wall. They are living, breathing, live in front of you. For you to feel the emotion that comes with that story.
And this is good for people to remember, because sometimes people get caught up in their everyday life and they don't really remember exactly how painful and perilous this story was.
And that's been kind of the movement here the last several years among faith traditions, is to take people back to what did happen. It wasn't just, Jesus got in trouble, they put him on the cross, and 3 days later he rose. There was agony, and there was pain, and there was betrayal, and there was confusion and fear, and all of these emotions that we're going through. And that's what we try to get people to remember, not from a guilt perspective, but just to show them what all Jesus committed to do on our behalf just because he loved us.
And jealousy, because that was one of the ultimate ways of government trying to tell the people how they should think.
And with Jesus coming, we talked about this last Sunday in worship. It was, kind of looked at as a coup for the religious authorities and the Romans. Here was somebody coming, and if the people considered him king, gave him any attention, now their entire way of life is going to be altered and changed. So there were, all of those facets being played out, and this is a story with many levels and much complexity. All the different players involved, all the different emotions involved, and all of it was done because God and Jesus Christ loved us.
We had the daughter on our show before this church became a popular or infamous church, the church in Kansas City, or in Topeka, Kansas, the one that would protest at veterans' funerals, and they had signs that say "God hates fags." And we had the daughter. The guy just died recently. What was the name of that church again?
Oh, gosh.
Whatever. I know you. Westboro. Thank you.
Yeah, that's it.
All right. So I asked her. I tried to have a conversation with her. She was not easy to talk to.
Not nice.
But she said God hates fags. And I said, well, my Bible said God so loved the world that can you quote it for me? I know
For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever shall believeth in him shall not perish.
But God loved the world. So why is she saying he hated certain people? And she couldn't answer that. And if anything that we do in life is a sin, then anything we do in life is a sin. Anyway, so I love what you're saying.
And that's what moves me so much is people ask me, you were talking about the Bible when we began. And I tell people my understanding of the Bible is that's God's love letter to humanity. It's all the ways that he expressed his love for us time and time again, no matter what we had done in return. The common factor is his love for us.
So how does, and this is really not me asking because I think I get this, but I've had this asked of me. How does one man dying actually save me? How does his death save me?
Because of who the man was. We believe that Jesus Christ was fully human but also fully divine. So one of the pictures that I've seen that helps us understand that is you have a cliff on one side, and that's where humanity's standing, and you have a cliff on the other side, and that's where God resides, and there's this big gap in the middle. And the drawing puts a cross in the middle with both ends of the cross connecting the two. And the cross is symbolizing Jesus, is that perfectly divine person, but also completely human, coming to pay the price for our sins so that we no longer have to engage in those sacrifices that we read about in the Old Testament. There's no more of that trying to pave the way for us to be found right before God again. It's done. It's taken care of, and it's a free gift to anybody that wants to accept it.
Some churches they don't allow anyone to take communion unless they're a church member. How do you feel about that? Because it's like you're opening this up to everybody, and this is something that's extremely important for people to be able to receive it.
What we practice in the United Methodist Church and in our congregation is on Sunday mornings that we give communion, we tell people that you do not have to be a member of this church or of any church to come forward and partake of the elements. We simply ask that you try and live in love and charity with your neighbor. And the founder of Methodism was large on grace. And he felt that communion was God's instrument to give grace to humanity. So we don't delineate if you are Methodist, non-Methodist, church member, non-church member. If you want to come and experience the grace, redemption, and love of God, come forward. We will give you the elements. We will pray with you. And there's been people that have come to the communion tent at the end of the tableau and expressed that to me and said, well, I'm not United Methodist. I don't go to church. Can I still have communion? And by all means, come forward. I'll give you a bigger piece of bread.
That's the beginning of them wanting to know more.
It's exactly.
Right?
And it's that opportunity to share with them God's grace.
So it's the tableau. What does the word tableau actually mean? Is it used anywhere else? Is the Easter tableau the only place the word tableau is used?
It's the only place I've seen it used.
Okay, it's like the grassy knoll. There's only one grassy knoll. There's only one tableau. So this is from 8 till 9:30 tomorrow evening and 8 to 9:30 Friday evening, and we just show up and
just show up and drive through. It's free to the community. It's our gift to you. Come through.
One of many gifts that your church gives us, by the way.
How do you choose who plays the different...
casting. How do you do that?
Yeah, how do you do that?
Everybody's raised their hand. I want to be Jesus.
Yeah, she is.
We just ask, starting at our church, tell them we have signups. Sometimes we have to persuade, encourage, beg and grovel. And then we also reach out to people in the community. We have a Boy Scout troop at our church. We have a Girl Scout troop. So we invite them to come and be a part of us because they are, I think, part of our larger church family. And they have supported us. This year we have reached out to the DeMolay boys and the Rainbow Girls, which are of the Mason group, because we have church members that are a part of that group. So we try to bring people in.
Oh, so you have a lot of young people participate. Well, that's good.
We really need to.
That's really good, yeah.
Because some of us don't want to get up on that cross after a certain age.
I wouldn't want to fall off.
But we do, we reach out and try to get people in the
Plus,
community.
they would say, I think Jesus was skinny. That's what they would say. They say, wasn't Jesus skinny? This isn't a Buddha lesson. This is Jesus' lesson.
But we ask people to sign up and to participate and to support our church that way. And it's our way of giving to the community, like Daryl said. It's not just something to keep within our four walls. For us, it's to get that message out.
The whole point of a church,
and what better
right?
way than to bring people on our campus to let them be a part of our family. The Forest ROTC has participated in the past. So we bring a lot of groups in.
You guys really do a lot, though. That kind of is an open arms, welcome, come in and visit us kind of a thing you do. So I have a question that I want to ask God. Maybe you can answer before I get there.
I'll do my best.
All right, I do have a question. All right, there's a story in the Bible where Jesus is asleep on the boat, right? And there's a storm coming, and all these guys are, holy mackerel, come on, would you wake up? There's a big storm coming. And he wakes up, and he rubs his eyes, and he says, you're faithless. What's the matter with you? And he stops it, right? Did I get that right? Is that the story? Okay.
You got it right.
Now in the Garden of Gethsemane, they're all sleeping. He's awake. He's bleeding blood from his forehead, right? He's so nervous about this. He wakes him up. You can't stay awake for this.
Yeah.
And it's like, wait a minute. You told us we could sleep, not worry about anything. Mm-hmm. How come he changes his mind at that moment? How come he didn't just say, you're right. Don't be afraid.
At that moment when he's in the garden, my image and my understanding of Christ is he's experiencing a lot of his human emotions.
That's human time.
That's human time. On the boat in the middle of the Sea of Galilee, it's his you faithless, I'm with you. I'm right here with you. trust that I will take care of things. When he gets to the garden, that's where, Scripture quotes him as saying, Father, if there's any other way for this to happen, if this can come down, please, let's do that. But
I'd be saying that one too.
But in the end, not my will, but your will be done. So at that moment, he is very fearful for his life because he knows what crucifixion is like. Walking in and out of Jerusalem, those crosses are there. Growing up in that culture, he would have seen that. He would have understood.
Oh, good point.
The pain
I never
of
thought
crucifixion.
About that.
So he knows what's coming for him, and he knows how painful it's going to be. And so that human side of him, that's where we can draw connection to Christ. It's not Christ comes, he was determined to die, and he went into it full steam. He experienced those same type of emotions that we would experience if we were facing that.
Right.
And he went back wanting his apostles, his friends, those people that had walked with him, please stay awake and be my comfort, be my strength, because right now I'm scared. Right now I'm unsure about how this is going to come down and what I'm going to do.
Have any of you been to the Holy Land, either the actual one or the tourist attraction in Orlando? No?
I took a trip over to the actual Holy Land back in 2009.
Is that right? And what was it like for you to go there?
It was an opportunity through my seminary to go and spend 2 weeks over there walking to those sites. And one of the things I had to do as a result of that was write a paper. How does going and visiting the Holy Land impact your storytelling? And growing up as a child, we all read the Bible. We go to Sunday school. We know the stories.
Right.
But I couldn't tell you where any geographical location was or how they were related or how they connected or the importance. And to be able to go and stand in the Garden of Gethsemane or stand on the Mount of Olives and look across the Kidron Valley into the old city of Jerusalem and be able to stand in one spot and see the path that Jesus walked from the time he was arrested to where he was convicted and tried to one of the possible spots where he was crucified, and be able to stand in one spot and see that and know that, even though I may not be standing in the exact spot where Christ walked, I'm real close to it.
Yeah, pretty close.
Yeah, and just the air over there, the culture over there, being there, knowing the importance of what happened in my faith really brought that alive.
There was a story that there's a tree there. Did you see a tree that was 2,000 years old? That was around. They say the tree was around when Jesus was around.
Yeah, they when you go over and you look in the Garden of Gethsemane, it still has all of the olive trees in there, and they tell you the more gnarly and curled they are, the older they are. And there are a few trees in there that are so thick and twisted that they date those to be back during the time of Christ.
Wow.
Will either of you ladies be depicting one of the biblical characters?
Not this time, no.
Oh, but you have.
We have, yes.
Who did you
I have
portray?
been in the Last Supper the last several years.
Uh-huh.
But this year, Carrie and I are trying to run the show.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you have to have a coordinator.
Yeah. Now, when we first started this, probably 46 years ago, I was actually in the youth group. So it has changed a lot.
You don't look old enough to be able to say that.
Well, I'm probably 47. Plus.
No way.
But it has changed a lot from when we first started it. It was 4 days. It was a Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday with the 4 scenes, one each night, different locations on the campus. The one very positive thing that has changed from the Last Supper when we as youth did it and had to sit perfectly still with artificial food is now they get real food.
Oh, you can really eat and chomp down a little bit.
So it has become more live, and we have really transformed ourselves and the event over the many years to a better.
Yeah, wonderful.
And on an absolutely unrelated note, Druid Hills United Methodist Church, I think, is the only establishment over there with the Druid Hills name anymore, right?
It is.
I mean, there used to be a lot. There was Druid Hills Drugstore, Druid Hills whatever.
Yeah.
Bicycle shop, right?
Exactly.
And you're the only one left, right?
We're the last
What
one.
the hell got the name? Is there a story there?
I've heard many stories since I've been there. The one that I've heard repeated the most was a lady that was instrumental in getting us the land where the church is located, knew a neighborhood up north from her childhood that was called Druid Hills, and it was
it's a pretty name.
Kind of brought back down. So there's 5 or 6 different stories that are floating around out there about why it is.
Wow.
Pastor, thank you for coming in. Pastor Darrell Allen, Terry Silvola Finch, thank you for coming in. Linda Hughes, thank you for coming in. And everybody, go to the Druid Hills United Methodist Church tomorrow from, is it 8 to 9:30? And take in the Easter Tableau. And you can do it on Friday as well. Both days or one of the two. And have Holy Communion at the end.
There you go.
Thank you. Thank you for what you do for our
Thank you very
community,
much.
and thank you for taking time out of your day to, talk religion. I think sometimes Christianity gets put in the back shelf a lot of times lately. So it's good to be able to talk about the faith that I claim. Thank you all.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
We will take a little break. Fox News coming right up.